hesitated to eradicate the creatures that stand in the path of his conquest. If we find ritual extirpation, undesirable natives of another world, the rest must be destroyed. Is it possible that our dark past? Watch them and pray.
Greetings, ladies, gentlemen, government agents, Native Americans who stopped listening because of last week's episode, and anybody who might be listening. This is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. I'm your host, as per usual, Tasker, and we have over here the very festive but still wearing all black, Nick.
I had some big news. That I wanted to share with you guys. But before I do that, I couldn't help but notice what you said in the beginning there, and it sounded like a personal attack.
What, with you wearing all black?
No, with the whole Native American thing, like it's my fucking fault.
Well, I over Thanksgiving, family's over, we're all, it's very limited this year, a little bit more low key. So of course, like I always do, I bring up our podcast to try to, finally get, my mom or brother to finally like it and leave a comment. But at one point I brought up I thought it was pretty cool. We did for Thanksgiving, a Native American 2 double folklore punch, because get it? Thanksgiving's because we killed a bunch of Native Americans, and it did not go over well.
No, it didn't.
I got a lot of judgmental looks, and apparently it's not as funny as I thought it was.
It's because you got to read the room, all right? You got to look into a room and be like, will these people laugh at Native American genocide jokes or not?
Yeah, as it so happens, actual conversation is incredibly different from podcasting, and also a lot less forgiving.
Yeah, because it's your family and they're drunk and you're sitting there on Thanksgiving wondering why their son turned into be a bigot. So technically, it's your fault. I didn't do anything. I was joking the whole time. The last couple episodes, you brought it up off air with your family. That's racist, dog.
How do I know it's not just you just slowly corrupting me from episode 1?
That's been my plan all along, but you can't. That's not me admitting it. Look, right. The point is, Native Americans don't listen to the show anymore. That's fine. All right. We don't need them to. They need to work on rebuilding their reservations. They don't have time to be listening to podcasts and shit.
Well, to all who did leave our show, we miss you. We miss you. And we're going to keep making good content, but we wish you were here.
Yes. Runs with water. We miss you.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. So here is the news I was going to give you guys. I know you've been waiting. I know the anticipation is fucking thick. Nick is growing his mullet back. All right. It's about high time.
See, I thought you were going to say you were man pregnant.
Nah, man, I wish. Like a seahorse? I don't think so, buddy. No, I'm bringing back the old Nebraska neck warmer. It'll be here. Honestly, it's going to take a while. So I didn't want to get everybody's hopes up now, but yes, it's coming in. It's coming in hot. I'm going to look good. I got a gold chain. I got a new gold chain. I got earrings. I'm ready to go.
I see. Is that your major point of selling the podcast? Is by the way, one of the hosts of the podcast has a mullet, and guess what? It's me.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, guess what? You ever want to hear a racist podcast from a dude with a mullet? Come check out Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind.
And it's so fun. I think our podcast logo, it's we look so non-threatening and stuff, and then you listen to it. And I will venture to say, I'm going to put my foot down and say it could be a lot worse, but I'm sure people don't expect to hear what they hear. At least I'm hoping, because that's just, I don't know, it unique maybe ?
Yeah. I mean, think about it like this. What do people like more than anything in the world? They like surprises, right? Christmas, you get surprises. Your birthday, you get surprises. Hanukkah, you get shitty surprises, but you get 8 days of it, so that's all right. Look, with our podcast, it's just one big surprise, because look, it looks like a cool sci-fi alien conspiracy podcast. You listen to the episode and it's 2 guys railing on Native Americans for 2 fucking episodes straight.
The cover art has space and all that shit, and we're just talking about Steel Reserve and
But that's why they come. If you know what I mean. That's why they come here to listen, is because they like us. They like our surprises. And they're like, what will they say next? Right?
Well, that's the hope. And yeah, that they do as you put it, come when they listen to our podcast. I mean, if you have listened to our show and you have shot a load, please let us know. That would be that it's great content.
That's gay, man, that you're asking for that, but that's all right. Look, I don't
It
judge.
doesn't have to be gay. It's just, and it's not a problem if it is. You know what? We're open arms here.
Open arms. And I will come to you with open arms. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Serenade that guy.
Exactly. You know, see, like I said, we may be, you know, a little on the other side of the tracks, but that doesn't mean we're not that bad. That doesn't mean we're that bad. That might have been Freudian right there. Fuck.
Look, I've said it once. I'll say it 1,000 more times, bro. None of us are 100% straight. It doesn't matter. Sexuality doesn't matter. All right.
Right.
Fuck who you're gonna fuck. Fall in love with who you're gonna fall in love with. Because you only have one life.
Yeah. And guess what? Listen to this podcast. You know, having sex is not a prerequisite. You can listen to this whenever.
No, I want the virgins out. Get the fucking virgins out of here. I don't have time for this shit. Only Chads.
No, no, there goes half our viewer base.
Hey, that's fucked up, man. That you even said that. That sounds like a Nick thing to say. Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, you know what? Fuck it. Let's move on. This has been the most offensive opening we ever had. Let's move on to horoscopes. Tasker, you go first this time.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, it's we are the date of recording this. It's December 1st. Isn't that cool? We're finally in Christmas time.
And it's almost Christmas time. Santa's gonna come down the chimney and he's gonna eat my bum.
Oh God.
Yeah, I got a plate of cookies left out for Santa, if you know what I mean. Dude, just come down, see all this cake on the floor, you know what I mean?
Come down the chimney to just see you like twerking. Anyways, getting off track, which apparently is our MO. So let's try to get back to our album artwork and think about what the stars have to say. December 1st. Okay. Someone you've known for a long time may move away or otherwise vanish from your life. He or she may move to a distant state. You'll probably stay in touch by phone or by email, but it will never be the same, at least not for a long time. You will feel better if you meet some new people. They will come your way today, possibly through humanitarian group activities. So, how long's it been since you moved?
2 months,
Yeah, it's fucking
maybe a little less.
This horoscope's a little late. And also, too, humanitarian groups. Does that mean the only way I can make friends now is I have to fucking pick up trash on the freeway?
You could join the Peace Corps if you feel like getting raped in Nigeria.
Jeez. I don't think that's the description for that job.
It should be, though, because it's fucked up that they don't tell them what they're getting into. I know people who've done it. It's not a
Good.
joke. It's the Peace Corps, more like the piece of this dick core. You know what I mean?
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. Sorry. I had a joke. You ever have like something in the top of your head and you want to say it and then it just doesn't come out?
Yeah, it happens to me actually literally every episode.
It's like mental constipation. I could token that.
Dude, you're like a psychologist.
I know, something like that. I really should have gotten a different degree. Anyways, today's star ratings, sex is a 3 out of 5, hustle is a 4 out of 5, vibe is a 3 out of 5, and success is a 3 out of 5. So 3s and 4s all across the board today.
I'll take it. That sounds pretty good for you, man.
Yeah, I'm vibing it. I think it's good. I do feel that way. I feel like it's a good medium. It's after Thanksgiving. I'm ready to talk about some. Well, if you read the title, you know this episode is going to be full of crocks of bullshit. So I gotta be ready.
Here we go. We haven't even gotten to the topic yet, and you're already slinging shade, huh? All right.
Yep.
Well, you know what? Before you sling any more shade, let me do my horoscope. Maybe it says I should whoop some ass in here or something. I don't know.
Let's see.
Today, Cancer, you might uncharacteristically decide to sequester yourself away from the world. That's not uncharacteristic of me, by the way. I am a fucking hermit. This thing is already wrong.
How bad does your room smell that you've been holed up in for years?
It's funny because I'm a hermit, but I'm also a neat freak. So it's probably the cleanest introvert room you'll ever see.
So see, everybody, you know, stereotypes, they're not always true.
That's right. That's right, dude. Asian people can drive.
Oh my God.
I know from experience. All right. Perhaps you're tired or feeling a bit under the weather and only wish to kick back and read a good book. Yeah, right. Catch me reading a book. That's fine. Everyone needs a little solitude from time to time. The only concern here is that if you stay too secluded, you might miss an important communication. Resist the temptation to turn off the phone.
Well, yeah, the important communication was you walking over to a Native American reservation and asking about skinwalkers. That character we made up, that's you.
It was based off me, except I didn't have the accent, but I did kind of go like, hey, so I'm doing some research for a podcast. And look, man, you got to let me in on this whole skinwalker thing. First off, why are you calling them skinwalkers? Second of all, why you got that bow and arrow in your hand? Are you going to shoot me with it?
Just because they're Native Americans doesn't mean they can't use guns.
Bullshit. They don't know how to use a gun.
Yeah, I can't believe you. It's if you have a pulse and a finger, you can use a gun.
So can a monkey, but we haven't really taught them how to do it yet.
Well, yeah, and nor do we want to, because you saw the promo stuff for Planet of the Apes with the monkey with the AK-47.
It's fucking awesome, man.
Terrifying.
Look, if we could teach the Native Americans to use guns, I will be that person. All right, I will lead an army.
We don't need. Okay, digging another hole again. Anything else you have to add for your stars?
Yeah, for stars, actually, I'm looking really good, really fucking good today. Sex is a 4 out of 5. All right, so my hand is going to be a lucky lady later. And vibe is 4 out of 5. I'm vibing hard, right? My hustle is a 4 out of 5. Woo! And my success is it's a 3 out of 5. It's average. That's fine. I'll take a 4. I'll take 3 of them being 4 out of 5 is fine.
Perfect. I remember I in one of my old pitches back in art school, animation school, I had a bit where one of the characters, the big joke was that he masturbates and his hand is named Right Handula. Do you have anything of that sort?
No, I mean, I don't have any like names. I don't like to put names on things that I possess, like objects
Honestly,
of sex.
same. Honestly, same.
Like women and that was a joke. Look, this is one of the few rare times I will break character and say that was a joke. Look, I'm one of the most gentlemanly men you'll ever meet in your life. I'll take you, I'll open doors and stuff for you. So don't worry about that. I was just joking. Women are not sex objects, and that's not funny, Tasker.
Right. That's not funny at all.
It's not, but it was funny for you because you laughed a bunch.
Well, we'll pick apart everything and how politically incorrect we are back in editing, but I think it's time for us to move forward into our very interesting topic today.
Okay, everybody. So today's episode of Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. First off, you know what? Happy Thanksgiving. We hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. We hope you didn't fight your family. So, like I did. So, have a good time. Anyway, that's me getting the pleasantries out of the way. Look, right. I'm going to cut straight to the fucking point here. Today's episode, if you could read, right? If you have like a fucking 3rd or 2nd grade reading level, you could see that today's episode is going to be about how the moon landing was faked, the original moon landing in 1969. Okay. And we're going to be going into to why and how we know that it was faked. All right. So we have evidence, we have proof that I will be going over today. This is a topic very near and dear to my heart. Okay. So if I get a little flustered at points, and if Tasker starts saying the wrong things to me and I go off the handle a little bit, I apologize.
Well, you forgot to add in it's allegedly faked.
Okay. All right, buddy. All right, sure. We haven't even gotten into the fucking evidence yet, and you've already began just throwing alleged out there like you're a fucking lawyer. What are you taking after your dad or something?
No, it's okay. Maybe a little bit, but it's true that we can't say for certain if it was, it happened because, and we can get into arguments later, but like I said, it's allegedly, it's nothing. There's more out there that says it happened than, and versus the act. It's like on your end, it's more speculative.
I'm not going to even fucking acknowledge that statement. I refuse. I plead the 5th. Let's move on. All right.
All right. Well, then let's see what we got.
So here's what I need you guys to do. I want you to pretend that you're an astronaut. Okay. Pretend what would an astronaut actually be like if there were actual astronauts, right? Because All that footage, that modern day footage we see from the ISS, right? The International Space Station, that's just some fucking anti-gravity chamber at NASA that they're hanging out in. Dude, I seen one of those dudes at Taco Bell when he was supposed to be up in space. All right.
Wow, that's quite a heavy accusation.
So yes, that's true. So everybody put on your fake astronaut suits. Let's dive right into the subject today because I'm raring to go. Like I'm rock hard right now.
So then I got to ask though, before we even get into, the moon specifics and stuff like that, do you think we as humans have crossed the atmosphere yet at all?
The atmosphere, yes. I do believe that, yes.
So you do think we do have capabilities to make it to space. We just haven't been to the moon. That's just to right out the gate, just so we can get this out of the way.
Yes. Yep. I do believe that we can cross the atmosphere and go into orbit.
Okay.
But beyond that, I do not believe we have the technology.
Fair enough. And,
I believe we have the technology, and I believe that there's other things going on with it. But commercially and with NASA and all the lies that they've been feeding us, I don't believe it.
That's right. I forgot you have a really heavy bone to pick with NASA. So this is there's going to be some high tensions, though. I do got to tack on too, since we're getting all the preliminary stuff out of the way. What is your opinion about the monkey and the dog that were both sent into space? And I think they both died, right?
I don't remember. First off, was it the Russians that did that?
I think the Russians did one of them. Yeah,
the Russians did the dog. I'm pretty sure we did the monkey, the chimp, right?
Yeah.
Here's the situation with sending animals into space, right? You wasted good meat. In Russia, back in the old USSR back in the day, they could have used that to feed like 3 families, dude. And then they just decided to send it into space to prove nothing. They proved nothing with that.
I actually did hear, and I mean, I know it's all jokes here, but there was a case where it was like a Russian ambassador or something like that was in America. And it was after Stalin's fall or something like that. But that was the minute he realized that the USSR and communism wasn't working, because the one thing he noticed in America that shocked him more than anything was the fact that no matter what grocery store you walked into, it was always filled with food.
Yep. Fucking communists, dude. Don't even know what a grocery store is. It's dumb.
Oh, they know what it is. They just don't have enough food to use it.
Yep. Bastards.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
The big red trouble, man. All right. Let's get into this, guys. Let's get into this. All right. So look, July 20th, 1969. 2 men touched down on the surface of the moon, allegedly.
Fine.
See, we could both use that fucking word. We could both use that word. I've been to school. I've finished 6th grade. I know that word.
It's well within your legal boundaries.
Damn straight. Of course, that was Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. Okay. It was a historic event. It was history in the making. Psych. Dude, we have never been to the moon. And thinking that we actually have been is the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard. And today we're going to tell you why, or more so, I'm going to tell you why. Tasker's going to be fighting tooth and nail every step of the way, but Uncle Nick is going to tell you why it's fake and why you should feel foolish for believing your fucking 4th grade teacher.
Yeah, well, I don't know if this is in the outline or not, because obviously I don't read it. But did you ever see the video where some dude, it was Buzz Aldrin was walking out of a hotel or something like that, being hounded by everybody because, he's Buzz Aldrin. And some dude with the camera, iPhone, in his face is just how did you fake the moon landing? How'd you do to fake it? What's it like being a liar? And he just, the 80-year-old, I think he's 80 plus years old or something, socked the dude in the face.
I did see that video. And he got defensive, and that's not a good sign. So that's a sign of a liar.
Or a sign of a dude who's been hounded his entire life for doing his job.
Yeah, his job. We'll get into that. Jesus Christ, calling that a job.
Yeah. Also, too, random side note here, but it is really ironic that we had a whole section in the beginning talk about how we don't do anything ever related to space or aliens, despite our name, and yet we're doing the most space related episode.
We are a big surprise. You'll never know what you're gonna get.
Always walking past that corner, gonna see what you're gonna get.
Okay, now before we get into the what and how, let's get into the why. Right? Why would the U.S. government spend so much time and money faking the moon landing? Well, let's find out.
Yeah, why?
Now, the first reason was clearly the fact that we were in a fucking space and Cold War with the USSR at the time. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Are we going to let the Ruskies win? No. But
Yeah,
we'll make them look like we won.
It was pretty bad back then. Like, it's almost kind of blows my mind to think about that there was just a time. I mean, like, obviously, we see the repercussions of it nowadays because every villain ever in every film is, at least up until 9/11, the villains were always Russian. And then, of course, after 9/11, it became Middle Easterners.
Arabs, yeah.
There's a better name for it, but sure. And nowadays, like, I don't know, I don't watch as much as I used to or as I should, but it seems like we just kind of have a blend of the two. That seems to be the more the archetype now.
Yeah,
Archetype.
because the Russians back in the day were evil. All right, they were communist bastards looking to take over the world with China. Look, this is not a history lesson. All I'm saying is we were at a space war with the USSR. Okay,
Dick comparing competition, except the dicks were the space shuttles.
exactly. That's a good way to put it. Now, being the first nation to land on the moon would have been seen as a monumental super Chad power play by that nation, and would also simultaneously send a message to all other nations not to fuck with them, right? It was kind of like when Kane betrayed The Undertaker, hooked up with Paul Bearer, and then went to fuck everybody up in like 1998, right?
Oh, yeah, the streak, right?
The streak, dude, where he just came out and he started fucking everybody up, and then Undertaker came back and whooped his ass at WrestleMania. Yeah, we all know, we get it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, now, although no one had the technology to get to the moon at the time, nor do we now, the USSR was getting uncomfortably close to having said technology because, like we mentioned earlier, they're sending animals into space and shit.
Right.
And the US knew they were behind in the race. So, of course, a great nation like the US of A could not bear to be beaten by the Red Russians, and naturally, they had to fake it and take matters into their own hands, right? Dress for the job you want, not for the one you have.
This is true. Who was president again during this time when we were doing the whole space rush?
It was Nixon at when we actually did the moonwalk. It was Nixon, but he had just gotten into office like 6 or 7 months prior.
Oh, so he inherited it.
Yeah.
So who is it beforehand? Who's responsible? We'll say that.
Well, we're gonna get into that in a little bit.
Okay. But yeah, Nixon, kind of a crook though. So it's boding. It's interestingly foreboding.
Yes. See, look, even you're turning your head. You know, things don't fucking add up with this whole moon shit. I don't even know if the moon's fucking there for reals.
Well, that'll be a whole episode in itself of what the moon's made out of, if it is a moon at all. But we'll see.
That's no moon.
Reference.
Now, another reason would be the fact that NASA is just a fucking terrible place. All right, full of terrible people. Look, NASA raised about $30 billion to quote unquote make it to the moon, right? $30 billion in the 60s. And I did a little bit of math check it. I didn't do the math myself because I'm retarded, but I did check it out. $30 billion would be almost $264 billion today with inflation. It's fucking bonkers. It's a bonkers amount of money back then.
Man, that's like what Jeff Bezos keeps in his wallet.
That's true. Maybe he's in on this too. I don't know.
Yeah, or more realistically, that's like if you went around your house and, it's like if you ever search for like change around your house and you end up getting like $20.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like what Jeff Bezos would find by collecting all the quarters he has in his couch.
Now, here's a question. Did NASA use this $30 billion to create a spacecraft and actually get people to the moon? Hell no. Right? As we all know, this is fact. NASA has always been shady as fuck, working with Nazis and the like, right? Like Werner von Braun, an ex-Nazi, quote unquote, who helped NASA.
Wait, so you're telling me, I mean, I always thought you hated NASA just because they like proved things that are fake and that makes you angry. But you're also saying that NASA is actually a secret Nazi organization that has infiltrated the United States for years?
Absolutely. Dude, this is common knowledge that Nazis have helped NASA after World War II.
Common knowledge what? I've never heard anything like that ever before.
Well, believe it now, because Werner von Braun on the Wikipedia page said that he was a Nazi scientist who went to help NASA after World War II. And all right. They're run by Nazis. Your brother is in trouble, all right? Unless he's already a Nazi, him trying to get into NASA is a really bad idea. They're gonna, it's like Hydra from fucking Marvel, all right? They're not dead.
So they got one because one thing I know I think agree on is that after World War II, there was a lot of top tier Nazi scientists that America didn't want to just let go, and I think we definitely pardoned a lot of people who did not deserve it, because we wanted their information. I can get behind that a little bit. But so what if one weird crackpot Nazi scientist made it into NASA? That doesn't mean they own it now.
Dude, Nazis are charismatic. I hate to say it, right? They got the goose step. They got the fucking sick uniforms. They got everything, right? They're charismatic, dude. Look at their leader. As bad of a man as Hitler was, God, he was like Freddie Mercury to those people, you know what I mean? And he was, and I can't even talk, I'm so pissed. When Werner von Braun went to NASA after World War II, he wasn't the only one, but he was the one that we know for sure. We know the name of, we have records of him going from World War II Germany, post World War II Germany to NASA as a Nazi. They started infiltrating and, whispering sweet nothings into the ears of the dumb nerd science Americans who were being essentially, they're being charmed and bullied into joining the Nazi cause. And now the modern NASA that we have today is run by Nazis. Look, we're staying on this way too long. I just wanted to say that this is me saying that this is a bad fucking organization, all right? They are Nazis, all right? And your brother is making a huge mistake.
Right. Well, I will pass your warning on to him.
Okay, now they use this $30 billion to pay people off, which we will get into a little bit later, in order to keep quiet about the moon landing and to help them orchestrate it. And of course, they used it for the production of the films. That's the most important thing, and we will get into it. And now the rest, right? What happened to the rest of the money, right? You're not going to spend $30 billion in 1969 making a movie, but who knows what they did with it? I don't know. Personally, they probably just bought Nazi stuff. I don't know. Whatever Nazis like sauerkraut and fucking bratwurst and shit. I don't know. All right.
Sure.
Jews on a chain. I'm not sure what they bought with the money, but they could have bought something.
Do we get into Stanley Kubrick at all? Is that something you touched on?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll shut my trap about that.
Read the goddamn outlines, man. Although, in my defense, I did send it to you like 20 minutes before the recording today. So,
so today it's everybody's fault.
Yes.
All right. Well, then, yeah, we'll talk about Stanley Kubrick later then.
Now, why would they go through all the trouble to raise this money and then fake it? Well, let me answer that for you. Because JFK, John F. Kennedy, rest in peace, wanted it done. And like mentioned before, it was a space race. Basically, just a huge pissing contest. Mm-hmm. In fact, this is a quote from JFK in 1961. Before this decade is out, of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth, unquote.
Beautiful. And how weird is it that, like, you have two dudes on the block or two coworkers, that get into like a pissing contest and stuff. How crazy that can happen at a national level, that you can get a whole nation of people who just want to just like be better over like one subject, Look,
I don't often side with feminists, but I think there is something that has to do with the fact that most of these powerful nations, it's changing now, but most of these powerful nations are ran by men. Right? Full of testosterone, and they're like, they want to see whose dick is bigger, and they're just like animalistic, and that's a part of it.
Well, this is the 60s where like you could get away with literally anything, like being just guys being dudes was like the norm. In fact, if you weren't just that, you would just get bullied.
Yeah, you'd be called a square and get your fucking wedgie pulled all the way over your head. It was a weird time, right? It was the 60s and 70s were a weird fucking time. It was a horrible time to be a woman.
Yeah, or literally anything else other than a able-bodied white man.
Yes, that's actually a very good point. Yes. Now, this quote from JFK was a declaration to scare the Ruskies. And if the Nazis over at NASA liked their cushy government-funded jobs and not being in Nazi jail, they weren't about to go and tell the president of the United States that they just couldn't make it work.
Wait, so this whole thing was just them saying yes when they couldn't do it?
That's one of the theories. That's one of the reasons why they would do it. But yes, you're right. So basically, you're not going to tell the president who just gave you a dope job and pardoned you from prison for being a Nazi, hey, can't do it, boss. Then what good are you to me then? Go to prison, you know?
Well, okay. All right. I'm interested to see how this theory unfolds.
Well, essentially, they pocketed most of the money that they raised, faked the entire moon landing, and then just spent a little bit of the money that they raised on making the moon landing. That's it. Because Nazis, they're fucking racist. I've been called racist. I've never been called racist, but I know a racist when I see one. All right.
Right.
Nazis are pretty racist.
Right. So, and I gotta say, the reason why this is ridiculous is because that you are essentially saying that this is the heist of not even a lifetime isn't even close enough to describe it. This would be the biggest heist probably in history.
Yeah. And they all did it to keep their cushy jobs, man. Their cushy, nobody's breathing down my neck job and sending me to jail job.
I feel like at that point it would have been easier just, make it to the moon, but whatever. We'll see. Well, okay. All right.
You don't have the technology to get to the moon.
You just said earlier that the Russians almost did it.
I meant that they almost did it because they were able to leave the atmosphere with a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that they're going to make it to the moon. But America was getting sweaty. You know what I mean? They're getting fucking feverish because with the fact that they made it into space. How does it make you feel?
Skeptical. It makes me feel, I always wondered too if, how it's like, we have a ton of like face muscles and stuff. And obviously, especially around our eyebrows, I feel like my eyebrow muscles in that area is actually stronger than my bicep with all the furrowing I've been doing from this goddamn show.
Well, strap in, man, because it's going to get weird. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Now, finally, another reason is that it was to distract people from the Vietnam War happening at the time.
They did need that. It was a very unpopular war.
Absolutely. Like in 1969, America was smack dab in the middle of the jungles of Vietnam getting jumped by Charlie, right? Now, I don't know if y'all are history buffs, but believe it or not, raping and pillaging the innocent in Vietnam wasn't going over too well with the newly sprouting hippies back in the home of the US of A.
Yeah, not a super easy to digest thing, because at least with World War II, it's like they did a big job that they had as propagandists was to, one, make sure the enemy was so demonized that we didn't care what happened to them, and also to cover up the actual atrocities that were going on. And with Vietnam, was it just because communication was getting better? There was video, there was photos, a lot more so than in World War II, so it became the horrors of war became a lot more, not only obvious, but a lot more visible.
True. And also you have to keep in mind that these beatniks and hippies were sprouting up all over the place. We didn't really have those in World War II. Right. But then we have people back home being like, war is not cool, man. You can't go over there and just start taking stuff, man. Getting fucking, you know what I mean? So it was a different time in America than World War II. And this was not a popular war. So the U.S. government got a lot of backlash, right, from students, musicians and bands, some politicians, movies, all kinds of shit back home, right?
Yep.
Now, what is something we could use to distract everyone from a war that we shouldn't be in and possibly unite us, if not for a moment? Oh, I know. What if we just start telling everybody, hey, we're going to the moon. and we're going to make it there.
I mean, sure.
Well, I mean, it is strange, right? At all that NASA's budget peaked in 1966 while there was a war happening that could have used more funding to either pull them out or be more successful in the war, right? Isn't that kind of weird?
So $3 billion just to give us a little morale boost? That seems kind of stupid.
30 billion.
30 billion. Yeah. That seems a little... Dude, our government is like, you know, if they're spending hard, it's money that they're putting in their own pockets. There's no way.
Well, like I said, they did pocket most of it. They only spent a little bit of it to make the movies back then didn't cost that much to make.
You said the Nazis did that and the government was none the wiser.
No, but the government, no. Okay, look, the government was NASA back then. NASA was the government, right? Nazis have always been in our government. That's just the way it's been since World War II.
You sound like a fucking psychopath.
No, it's fucking true. It's fucking true.
You're saying so NASA was the government and NASA also was Nazi. So technically we've been a Nazi state since the 60s.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, think about it, dude. All the politicians eating and having sex with kids and stuff. And you're telling me that that's not Nazi behavior? What do you call that? Good old American fucking homegrown apple pie?
It's definitely homegrown, but it ain't good. No, we got that shit all the time, dude. You talk to any CEO. They're psychopaths. America is literally built on greed and drinking the blood of the people under you. It's like that whole story of the allegory of CEO drives up into his parking lot in a brand new Ferrari. One of the workers is like, "Wow, that's a really cool car." CEO says, "Oh, thank you, man. If you work really hard, you really put your blood, sweat, and tears in, I'll be able to afford a second one next year." That's our nation.
Yes, run by Nazis. The only difference is they have infiltrated. Look, the point is NASA was government funded back then. Up until kind of recently, they were. So they were in cahoots together the entire time. That's just a fact, man. That's just a fact, bro. And look, I'm not trying to get all fucking pissed off. All I'm saying is that I think it's a little suspicious that their budget peaked 2.5 years before they were supposed to make it to the moon, right? During a war that could have used the money for better or worse at the time. I think that's weird, bro.
It's definitely fucked up for sure. Like, there was a lot more, but the reason why they put the money is because they were actually going to it. If it was a budgeted film, don't you think they would have been like, "Oh, we spent this amount," but they actually didn't? Like,
no,
because the money actually didn't exchange hands. Like, no, that's completely ridiculous. They're making it so much harder for themselves. Dude, the government is not some like super crazy like mega organization. It's filled with a bunch of like weirdos. Some people get thrown into government jobs just because they have friends and they don't know how to do anything. Like,
look at you talk. Look at you just putting the government up on the pedestal, man. Oh my God. I never thought I'd see the day. There was one thing that I knew you were skeptical about, and it's the government. And dude, you may as well just say Hail Hydra right now. That's bullshit.
No, I'm not praising them. I'm just saying, I don't think they have the capacity to pull off that big of a job.
With the U.S. government behind your back, you can get anything you want. But let's move on. There's more arguments to be had, and we're gonna get into the proof now.
All right. Okay. So let's see some evidence.
Okay, people. This is the hot shit, right? This next big segment of the episode is going to be the proof behind the fact that the moon landing was faked. Now, we will be breaking this down into the following categories, okay? Photographic and film oddities, environmental proof, mechanical issues, transmission oddities, and missing data or data. Now, let's begin with photographic and film oddities.
All right, the juicy stuff.
Well, first, we have the fact that in some of the photos, parts of the crosshairs seem to be behind the object, which is meant to be the focal point, right? The object is supposed to be the focal point of the photo, and it's as if some of the objects were superimposed after the photos were taken.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying, right? So, like, there's a crosshair, and all these photos, you'll see a crosshair, right? Because they had dumb technology back then in the 60s. And it was like Call of Duty, right? You had to have a crosshair to take a good picture, apparently. A line let's say like the left line of the crosshair would actually be behind the object in the photo, as if the object was like early day photoshopped into the picture.
Why would they Photoshop if we're going under the assumption that they made it in a studio, why would they bother? They would just make a prop and go on with it, because they wouldn't. It's like I said, now we're just getting into too much work.
I'm not questioning it. I'm just saying maybe they actually made it. Maybe it was, I don't know, man. I'm just reporting what I see in the photos.
All right. Well, I'm going to say for this first point, not buying it.
Fair enough, but I do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next, again, about the crosshairs. In some photos, they're either at an angle or not centered in the photo, which is not how it's supposed to be when you look at the other photos.
Wait, so explain that to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so you have these crosshairs, right? And it's like an X, right? It's like a plus sign. It looks like a plus sign, right? You're in math, right? It's a plus sign, right? Now sometimes in these photos, it turns into a multiply sign, right? Like an X, right?
Yeah.
And it's not the way it's supposed to look in the other photos.
So you could just turn the camera, and if it's consistent, if that X is supposed to be like static, if you just turn the camera, that doesn't prove anything.
Then how do you explain the fact that also some of the crosshairs weren't centered in the photo? Like it would be way off, you know what I mean? Like way off the center of what should be the focal point.
What does that prove anything? That just means they could just be moving the camera around.
That's retarded.
It's stupid. You might as well put this back on the shelf, because I am not buying it.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. A lot of these photos published by NASA, right? The Nazi astronaut sucking ass, right?
Okay.
NASA had a really, really, really sharp images for a camera in 1969 being supposedly taken 250,000 miles away on the moon.
Well, lighting is difficult to get. I could see they only got that miracle shot. I mean, dude, that's just photography.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's professional photography in a fucking soundstage.
All right. Well, we'll say we'll go with gray area for this one.
Okay. Now here's the big one. All right. There are no fucking stars in any of the photos from the moon landing. No stars anywhere.
Well, yeah. I mean,
what do you mean? Well, yeah, I can step outside at 5 p.m. right now and see stars from here. Why wouldn't I be able to see them from the moon?
Because, first of all, the moon is all lit up because it's reflecting the sun. And guess what? When you take a picture of something with a high light source, other light sources don't really get in, because it's focusing on the whole, like with how the light's being taken in by the camera.
Do you know why we can't see stars in the daytime?
Why?
Because we have an atmosphere. All right. The moon barely has an atmosphere. You should be able to see the stars anytime on the moon. Like if you're looking at these photos from the moonwalk, you should be able to see the stars. It's so dark out there, despite the fact that there is quote unquote sun coming down on the quote unquote surface of the moon, right? Just really good lighting. It's dark. You should be able to see the moon or the stars hypothetically.
So what? You're just saying if they staged it, they just got lazy?
Yeah. They just fucking overlooked that. That's such a dumb thing to overlook. Like, I'm honestly disappointed.
If you had a $30 billion heist, you're not going to be lazy. There's no way. There is just no way at all. That is complete. If you are fooling an entire nation and all you got to do is just make a film production, there is no way they just overlooked the fact that there's no stars.
Here, I have 2 rebuttals for you. One, they thought everybody was stupid. They didn't think they'd miss it. I caught it. Some of the world caught it. And second, why waste money on stars, right? Something they think that nobody would catch when that money could be going straight into their pockets. The less money they spent on this project, the more money they had in the pocket.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's baseline camera work. I think, stars, and the fact that, stars are suns that are hundreds of millions of miles away, that kind of might have something to do with it. And there's just, you can't just take a pic. That's like when you go and you try to take a picture of the Mars when it's in like our orbit and shit like that, like with your phone. It doesn't look great because it's not a camera that's built for that. And guess what? Back then, they had the best they could. And you know what? When they took the pictures in space, you couldn't have a super XLR, blah, blah, blah. DSLR. I'm so mad. No, there's just, it's no, like that's no excuse that, they just got lasers, didn't think anybody would see it. Like when you're working with 30 billion or the equivalent 200 plus billion, you're gonna get your money's worth.
Like I said before, the less you spend on the production, the more you get to take home. And look, I don't want to stay too long on this point, but I will say one last thing because I'm getting flustered.
Right.
You're talking as if we can't even see the stars from Earth, right? Like but
seeing with your eyes and a camera are two completely different things.
That is not true. That is not true. That is not true.
Absolutely true. But they work similarly, but they definitely don't work the same.
I'm not a fucking optometrist. I don't know how our eyeballs work, but all I do know is that they had high definition photos back then, so they should have been able to see the stars. That's one of the points here. Their photos are suspiciously clear.
Dumb. It's dumb.
It's true.
This is dumb. It's cameras, it's light refraction. That's just kind of how it works. Like,
you're right. It is light. You know what? It is cameras and it is light refraction from the spotlight on the stage.
I don't think you could be more wrong than with this point right now.
Well, you just open up your third eye, buddy, because there's more to come.
Yeah. Here comes a third eye excuse, of course.
Now, both the color and the angle of the shadows on the moon coming off of the moon rocks and such are inconsistent and clearly signs of artificial lighting from a movie set of sorts.
Do people really think that the sun is the only source of light going on? Like, that goes in one direction without being bounced off everywhere? It's like, dude, light's a little bit more complicated than that.
Oh, so first you're telling me that the stars can't be seen, and then you're telling me that that the sun, our sun, is not the only star. That's what are you talking about, man? What the fuck are you talking about?
The sun is definitely the main light source and is what casts the most amount of shadows. Just as but light bounces around. This isn't a still life that we're painting that we have super control over. This is goddamn space. Like if everything was just allegedly, man, whatever. Light's a little bit more. Okay, let me wait. I don't even know why I don't have these photos up. Okay, moon landing photos. Let me take a look at these so-called inconsistent shadows you're talking about.
That's right.
Let me see how inconsistent they seem, because I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding about how light and shadow works.
Oh, here we go. Look, I'm not going to get into a fucking argument with you about light, because you went to school for an art major. Look, man, you didn't go into school for movie productions. All right. They're different.
I'm looking through all these. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Those shadows look perfectly fine.
You don't see any stars though, do you?
Well, yeah, because they're just using a regular goddamn camera.
You should still be able to see the fucking stars. Where they hide? Did they hide when a fucking camera pops out? Like, oh, guys, they're taking a picture. Everybody, lights off.
If you go out tonight and you try to take a picture of stars with your phone camera, which is probably better than what they had, you're going to find that there's no stars.
I can absolutely take pictures of stars. There are literally millions of pictures of stars online that people have taken.
Because they had the cameras built for it.
Nope. I could take a picture with my... Look, listeners, go outside if it's nighttime. Take a picture of the sky. If you fucking see stars in your picture, Tasker's a psycho, all right?
I'm telling you, man, if we have much better cameras now than they did back then. It's been leaps and bounds since 69, man. Like that's they wouldn't show up. They're too far away.
That's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous claim. All right. Let's move on.
All right.
Okay, so in the background of some of these photos, they are identical to others even though, according to the captions on these photos, they were taken miles away from each other.
My fucking God.
And this is obviously proof of a fake, perhaps even painted set.
Are you kidding me? The moon, where literally every single bit of it looks exactly the same. You don't think they're going to look identical?
Not identical. What about the hills and the valleys and the craters? What about all that stuff?
I think you're reading way too much into it. The moon is a barren wasteland. There's not a whole lot going on there yet, and it's going to look similar. Just like how if you're walking around in the woods, you know, you're going to see spots and people start freaking out and they're like, oh, we were already here before. But guess what? Because the shit all looks the same. That's why.
Not that identical, man. Nah, I can't. I can't believe that it's just because it's a barren wasteland. Look there. So you're telling me that you're moon shaming right now, right? You're telling me that the moon just looks the same, like it's a flat surface the entire way around.
Not in every single spot, but it wouldn't be too hard to find a lot of spots that could, to the common observer, just look pretty regular.
All right. So we're going to disagree on this one.
Yep, 100%.
All right, here's another interesting one. There are a couple rocks in photos where you can clearly see a letter C carved into them, and these markings could be some kind of storage inventory marking on these prop rocks.
Okay, So moon, rocks, letter C.
That's a letter C if I've ever seen one. That is a thick C on those rocks.
Doesn't prove anything.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? Who was there before them then that put the C on the rock? What is somebody tagging now?
Is that the only like C-shaped marking that's ever existed in nature? Like, dude, that shit can totally happen.
Oh yeah, maybe in a billion trillion years, dude. It looks like somebody straight up carved a C into that rock.
Dude, the moon's been around long enough for that shit to happen. Who knows? Maybe it was like something just flew by and chipped the side of it.
Chipped it, made a C, a perfect fucking cursive C, and then bounced off. Yeah, that's great.
It's not a cursive C.
I know. Yeah, whatever.
One. Oh my God. The sea rock, proof of the moon landing. Who's to say if it is man-made on? Okay, let's see. Common argument. Spirit says the rock is obviously a prop.
Yes.
Sea rock has been added in. So some people say that sea was actually doctored in to make conspiracy theorists go off on it. So actually, those pictures might all be falsified.
I don't know, man. I'm a Photoshop expert, and it looks pretty legit to me.
Then why are there pictures of that same rock but without the sea?
Because they photoshopped the sea out. All right, let's move on.
Photoshopped it. See, now this is an infinite loop. This is stupid.
Now, in some photos, it looked like there were hot spots, quote unquote hot spots, created by spotlights to make it look like sunlight, but they clearly fucked up. And it's obviously like it's obviously a spotlight, right? Okay. Or at least one of those standing tall, like fluorescent lights. Like they were they're maybe 20 feet in front of them is dark. And then it looks like they're just standing underneath a light. So that was just bad set design.
So by hot spot, you mean it's just an area that's like brighter than others?
Yep.
Look,
it's real.
No, I think it's just another misunderstanding of light.
There's no misunderstanding of light. The film crew just fucked up.
No, I disagree completely. I've been looking at the pictures and yeah, I just think no. I know. You're
a patriotic boy who thinks we made it to the moon. Good for you.
Mm-hmm. It could be just sometimes light gets reflected better in certain spots than others.
Then why isn't it like that on Earth? Why can't I just hang out on Earth and be under like a spotlight of light while 20 feet in front of me it's dark?
Because the Earth isn't a flat gray wasteland of nothingness. We got shit bouncing all over the place.
Oh, so you're saying the moon is flat?
Oh my God, don't you dare twist my words into that bullshit. I mean, it's flat as in it's not like there isn't any like structures and shit like that. It's not literally flat. That's completely ridiculous.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Now, finally, for this category, I want to ask this question. Who the fuck was filming Neil Armstrong as he was first stepping onto the moon's surface, quote unquote, for the first time?
I think we could just Google search this. Who was filming Neil Armstrong?
No, I've already looked into it. They claim there's a camera on the outside of the lunar module. I've never seen a camera on the outside of a lunar module, and I've looked at pictures of it.
Dude, you realize that there's other pieces of equipment they might have had with them. It's just as easy as setting up a tripod. We could do this right now. It's just like that's so overblown.
Not when you're flying through space, allegedly. Do you think that camera is going to survive out there?
Yeah, I think it is, because the moon has its own gravitational pull. I mean, it's a lot like lighter than the Earth, but like just because you put something on the ground, the moon doesn't mean it's gonna fly away.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, I just saying it's a little sus that there's nobody taking a picture of him or a video as he's stepping off the ladder onto the moon for the first time and said his big line, "Ooh, look, a small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Dude, what a crock of shit. He had writers. They have writers for that type of shit.
It's not too far-fetched that, maybe he climbed down, set it up, and then climbed back up, and then when it was recording, did it?
Then it's still a farce, and they lied to us.
Barely.
If that's the case.
Barely.
All right, let's get into the next section. All right, in this one, we will be discussing environmental proof / oddities. Now, the first point is pretty straightforward. Apparently, the astronauts could not have even survived the trip to the moon due to radiation exposure from the Van Allen radiation belt that comes off of the Earth, and it emits off of the Earth and above the atmosphere.
Okay, I don't know anything about any of that.
Okay, we're not Googling it because this is not a science lesson. You have to take my word for it.
Van Allen, hell, like fucking hell. Van Allen radiation belt moon. Okay. They are lethal.
No, the Earth. It comes off of the Earth, and it radiates above the Earth's atmosphere, the Van Allen radiation belt.
See, there's literally, so yes, it does exist, but they have ways around it. Like
what? Going through it and dying? Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, let me fucking watch the whole goddamn video.
Are you watching a video in the middle of recording right now?
I don't have time to watch a video during the recording. That's why this is a ridiculous point, because there are ways to do it. It's been done. So it's just, I guess
as far as you know, it's been done.
Sit and watch the goddamn video to prove to you, because guess what? I'm not a scientist. I went to art school.
Well, whose fault is that?
I didn't know 3 years ago we were going to do an episode like this. So you know what? Fuck me.
Okay, well, to you, it's been done before, right? If you trust scientists, if you trust Nazis, then yes, it has been done before. People have gone through the Van Allen radiation belt and made it out alive.
Right. Well, wait. Also, too. So you said, okay, and you said for sure that sending dogs and monkeys into space, that happened, and you said it was true.
Yes.
So the fuck, how did they make it through the belt then?
Because dogs and monkeys aren't affected by radiation the same way that we are. We are bred by aliens to be susceptible to radiation, and that is literally how it's been since day one.
That is way too goddamn convenient.
No, radiation is huge in multiple alien species. So if they created us, why wouldn't they put what's the word here? Why wouldn't they put a for sure weakness that they have ties to, right? Like radiation to us in case we get too powerful. Then boom, they could wipe us out with radiation. Why do you think that there's a radiation belt above Earth? A little convenient, isn't it? For the aliens.
I think you're making this up on the spot.
Look, I've been called many things, but a great improv person is not one of them. All right. This is fact.
Okay. So just so we're straight here, you think that we didn't make it to the moon because we are a pet project of an alien race. And in order to keep us in check, they gave us a distinct weakness to radiation, despite the fact that animals and life on Earth is definitely for sure affected by radiation in super negative ways. But we have a specific Earth radiation that makes it okay for animals to go by, but not us, because it's a kill switch in case we fuck up their experiment.
Well, animals don't get affected. This isn't Fallout, all right? You're not going to see like rabid radiation dogs in the wasteland. Animals don't get affected by radiation the same way that we do. Aliens knew that, and now there's a kill switch. So yes, I don't believe that humans can leave. I believe that they can just get in there, but I don't think that they can make it past the belt, because if the further you go out of this radiation belt, the higher the radiation is, because it overlaps like this. They're like half circles.
What about the people who got to space stations? You said that happened.
No, I told you that everybody in ISS is. Remember, I told you they're in an anti-gravity shit because I saw them at Taco Bell. I was like, "Hey, you're supposed to be up on the space station right now." And he's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Threw his chalupa at you.
Yeah. I was like, "Thanks, man. You're a national hero."
Wow, that is a lot to digest. Wow, it feels like I'm unclogging a toilet with all the bullshit clogging.
Whatever, man. Look, I'm getting it's warm in here, dude. I'm gonna take my fucking shirt off in a second. Woo. All right, next up, if they had somehow survived the trip, hypothetically, the radiation should have created a fog over the lenses of their cameras, and they would be unable to take photos or videos.
Fogged forever?
No, just for a long time.
So what does that prove?
It proves that they didn't go to space because their cameras weren't fogged.
How, like I said before, there is a high chance, even if they did get radiation fog, don't you think they would have seen it and be like, oh, let's wait for the fucking fog to go away before we record a historical moment?
No, because if they were on this mission and if that happened, they don't have time, right? They have a schedule to meet, apparently. NASA's like, hey, you got to get to the moon. Your EVA is in like 3 hours. Get to the moon, walk on the moon. They don't have time to be like, okay, let's wait till the fog goes away. You know, they don't have time for that shit.
I imagine they accounted for it because they understood what they were doing. Because they were heavily fucking NASA. They were heavily funded. A ton of money was on the line. Their paychecks were being filled. They got to be a part of history. They got to do something that nobody in the planet's ever done. That's a scientist's wet dream. Why wouldn't they?
Because they're not real scientists.
They're Nazis.
They're Nazis, and they never got to the moon, so you can't call them scientists. They didn't have a great accomplishment. They faked it. They're good actors. I'll give them that much. But you can't get Tonys at NASA, so.
As if the moon landing was a musical. Can you imagine that? Okay. If it was a musical, I would believe it.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Though there actually is a bit, I think, in the moon landing video where he does sing to himself. What do you think of that?
I think that he was just getting cocky.
Just rubbing it in America's face, huh?
Yep. The surface of the moon would have been so intensely hot that the film in their cameras would have melted and probably would have been a little too uncomfortable for the astronauts in general.
I think the moon is cold.
Oh, you think it's cold? Well, I think it's hot. See, it works both ways.
See, it's just schoolyard arguments at this point. It's just, I'm losing my mind.
Well, I'll keep it on track. I'll keep you on track for this, but Tasker, I will say it again. In order to have a better time with this episode, you need to just start working on your fucking third eye, man. You have too much tension in your root chakra and not enough in your crown chakra, dog.
Right.
Oh, not your crown. I don't know. I'm not fucking Indian. I don't know this shit. All right.
Yikes. I gotta ask too. So you've on multiple occasions told me about how my third eye is calcified from showers and because I like long showers and from drinking tap water.
Yeah.
So what happens when you put it through like a Brita? Is that just like, does that intensify the calcifiers or detensifies?
It actually detensifies. I've been using a Brita since I moved into my new house, and dude, I'm feeling awake. Like I am awoken. I am woke. I hate to use that term, but it's true. I've been using Brita. I've stopped taking showers. So I'm fluoride free right now. Stopped brushing my teeth. And I have like dreadlocks now because I don't wash my hair. So
right. That'd be another Brita. That'd be another good sponsor to have someday in the future. Decalcify your third eye with Brita.
Hey, I'll pitch it to them. That'd be fucking awesome.
Not a bad idea. Anyways.
All right. Well, now here's the big one for the environment. Okay. This is a common thing seen amongst quote unquote conspiracy theorists. I find the term derogatory. Okay. The flag that has the flag that was placed on the moon seemed to ripple as if there was wind, but as we know, allegedly, there's no wind on the moon.
Yeah, dude, there's no fucking barely any gravity on there. That doesn't mean things just don't move at all.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. You tell. I mean, I'm just saying. I know what I saw, and it doesn't look right. It's not supposed to do that.
That's just no. We have giant celestial bodies moving around in orbit. Shit moves in space.
So you're telling me just because the Earth is moving at like 0.2 miles per hour, I don't know how fast it moves. Look, what if the Earth isn't moving? I don't know. What if the sun is moving, right? I'm pretty sure the Earth is the center of the solar system. You're telling me just because the Earth or something is moving that it's causing wind on the moon?
No, it's not causing wind. It's not moving because of wind.
Then why did it look like it was a flag blown, like a good old US of A flag blown in the wind like it's like Labor Day or something?
Have you ever seen video of astronauts inside their ship, or not even that, in like just zero grav in general? Shit moves.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not supposed to. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my God, whatever.
All right, well, the footprints, right? The next one is footprints left by the two men on the surface of the moon have been very well preserved, even though there is no moisture in the moon dust.
It's because there's no gravity and no wind. Like I said before, the flag doesn't move because of the wind.
Look, two things here. You need moisture in dust or dirt to make imprints that last. Second, if there was movement, right? Why would they be so well preserved, Tasker? Don't you think that the moon dust is it's so fine, right? It's supposed to be so powder-like, but why do you think that it hasn't been covered up unless there's no movement on the surface of the Earth, which also leads back to the flag thing, and that's why it's weird that it was like flowing in the wind.
Oh, don't you think? Yeah, it's a little weird that the moon isn't just a ball of dust that conforms to Earth standards. It's a completely different celestial body. It has its own properties. It has its own gravitational field. It has its own so much stuff. Don't you think some weird other shit's going to be happening that it's going to take a little bit for us to understand it? And guess what? We do understand it. It's gravity. It's physics.
Nah, man. Look, so in order for physics to work here, nothing can be different. You're saying that it's its own celestial body, it has its own thing, and it does its own thing. No, physics is supposed to be universal, right? So it would act the same way as it would on Earth.
You're saying the idea of physics being universal means universal on the planet Earth, but physics goes beyond Earth.
That's why
physics
I said universal. It's universal. The universe.
Yeah, but you're under the implication that everything follows the rules that Earth follows.
Yes.
The moon's different. It's built differently. It's got different properties. The size matters, the gravitational field, how fast it moves, the material under it's different. Were you the type of kid in the fucking chemistry class when they made the fire turn green, you just called them a witch and start throwing shit at them?
Yeah, because it's bullshit. Look, fire is orange, first off. It's not supposed to be green. It was fake fire. Also, I resent the fact that you said that that size matters, because it doesn't. It's the motion in the ocean.
This is kangaroo court. This is absolutely ridiculous.
And finally, for the environment, what about the movement of the astronauts, right? The slow, bouncy movements that are due to quote unquote low gravity on the moon, right? Well, that actually can be explained by decent physical acting. Like I said, they're actually pretty good actors, and harnesses set up on the soundstage to help them move along.
How about just walking in zero grav in a weird clunky suit that was barely able to make it there in the first place?
The fact that you believe it means that they did a good job.
Ugh. Like I said, these are all scattered speculations. To me, it just seems like a whole lot of work into going when it's easy enough to just say, you know what, maybe they actually did do it. Seems like you're putting a whole lot of effort into coming up with excuses.
And so are you, man. So are you. You're coming up with a whole lot of effort to prove that they went to the moon, but you can't prove to me that they've been to the moon because I haven't seen it. I haven't been to the moon myself. I don't even know, like I said before, I don't even know if the moon is there. It could be a projection.
So you're meaning to tell me the moon is perfectly projected to move at a perfectly measured angle, which by the way, the moon has historically been a part of humanity. That's what we use as for navigation for ships. You love your sea shanties. You should know more than anybody that the moon is a tool that we've been using since the beginning of time.
They used the northern star, and also the moon isn't a star. I don't know. I wasn't around back then to look up and see the moon. I have no proof that the moon was there before like 1910. Like I have no fucking proof.
Right. Just, generations of stories and tales and folklore.
Well, there's folklore about cryptids and werewolves and shit, but you don't believe that. But you'll believe folklore about a moon, a perfectly spherical rock that is in Earth's orbit somehow and hasn't killed us.
It is not perfectly spherical, and nor is the Earth, and that is misinformation.
You're right. The Earth is actually kind of flat. So, but that is an episode that we can get into at a different time. All right. Both of those are two big topics that we need to touch on in the future. The moon not being real, and the Earth being flat. Those are things we will get into.
And of course, nostalgia is the only thing that keeps me from blowing my lid. But flat Earth is actually a really near and dear topic because that's us arguing about that drunkenly at a party is what led us to podcasting in the first place.
Yes, it is. And man, it is flat out here. Let's not get into it because you're going to get pissed again. And look, all right, let's move on. All right, we have another section coming up here. Now, next up, let's talk about some mechanical/technical issues that just don't add up with the official story. Now, the lunar module didn't make a crater or kick up debris upon landing or takeoff. And to me, personally, that's sketchy as fuck.
Like I said, I think this is just a simple physics thing.
So you're telling me that fine moon dust, right? Super fine, like powdered sugar. When a fucking 17-ton machine lands on it, it doesn't kick anything up, especially with, fire.
Conventional physics is different on the moon because just because it happens on Earth doesn't mean it happens on the moon.
That's ridiculous. That is that's the craziest thing that's been said this entire episode.
And that's saying a lot, but no, it's different gravitational pull, different way that, different makeup, different physiology, different everything, geology, whatever you want to call it.
That's just so crazy to me that, okay, it doesn't kick up anything. That's so weird. All right. Let's move on. Now, speaking of the lunar module, like I said, it weighs about 17 tons. And it didn't leave any visible prints in the moon dust. But the problem is, so you're telling me that a 17-ton machine didn't leave any prints from the landing, the landing pads, but there's footprints left in the dust?
Where's your proof on that?
I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have proof on this one, but neither do you, saying that it's fake.
So we'll gray area this one then.
Okay. Let's.
God damn it.
And finally, for the mechanical issues, the air conditioning system in the suits of the astronauts could not have possibly worked in an environment with an unusual and almost non-substantial atmosphere. Because that's not how air conditioning needs air to work, buddy.
That's why they have tanks of oxygen and air for them.
That's not tanks. That's their P tanks.
Oh my God. No, they thought of this. They had to because they knew if they fucked up, they're dead. There's no air there. The gravity shit. Nobody wants to be in the vacuum of space because that's a horrible way to go. And no, it's just something where it's just obviously I'm not qualified to say how air conditioning can work reasonably outside of the atmosphere. But they did it.
Oh, so that's your proof. They did it. They just went and did it.
Proof. And what's your proof of like, nope, it's impossible. It can't be done. And therefore it's false. Because
think about it like this, dude. If those were air tanks in the back and not P tanks, right? If they were storing air for the astronauts for their quote unquote spacewalk, will they have enough in those tanks both for breathing and for air conditioning? I don't think so. Do you know how much power and air is used in air conditioning? I see it in my monthly bill every goddamn month. It's a lot. All right. I think you're just a doubter. I think you're doubting scientific progress and what it's able to do. I think you're a doubter, and I think that you're doubting. I think that you're chumming up with the government, believing everything they tell you, and you're being a good boy.
I'm just saying, there's just so many. All these claims are pretty unsubstantiated. It seems a lot easier to just say, or I don't know, maybe they pulled it off.
And I think your claims could be just the same, Tasker. You're coming up with nothing because you can't show me the moon. You can't drag me to the moon and be like, hey, here it is. Look, the dust doesn't come up when you land a 17-ton machine on it. I'm like, oh, there we go. That's what I would need as proof. But you know what? We're at an impasse here.
If we somehow manage to start a Kickstarter to get both of us to the moon, just so we could prove this goddamn point, we're going to get there. We're going to step on there. And, you know, at this point, it'll be so far in the future that like the tech will be amazing. You're still going to be like, well, this is just the Matrix. Like I'm just plugged in somewhere and this is just VR.
Dude, don't even get me fucking started on that because you know that I believe we're living in a simulation. Like talking to you has been great. Being your best friend for so long has been awesome. But it's a goddamn shame I'm in a pod somewhere being used as fucking like a battery.
Goddamn shame indeed. I almost have no words for the stream, just the steady, thick stream of nonsense you are spitting to me over these electronic airwaves.
We will be doing an episode on the fact that we are in a simulation. There's scientific quote unquote proof coming out from physicists, if you believe them, Tasker. So I'm only saying this to make you happy, saying that there is a possibility now that we are in a simulation.
I actually am excited for that topic because it actually is a pretty frightening possibility. And it's hard to say because the only consciousness we can confirm is our own. So hard to say.
For now. All right. Well, let's move on and discuss transmission oddities during this quote unquote trip to the moon. I've been saying that a lot this episode, quote unquote.
A lot of quotes, but yeah, there's also a lot of doubting.
Yes, on your side. Yes.
Right.
Now, riddle me this. Why was there only a 2-second delay during conversations from the men on the moon and the men back on Earth? Dude, 2 seconds, bro. I sometimes get like a 3-second delay on Zoom or Discord with the technology we have in 2020. They were about 250,000 miles from each other in 1969 with only a 2-second delay.
Well, yeah, if I had a dedicated Wi-Fi service that only catered to me, I would have a hella low delay too.
I just cannot believe the fact that they have like I said, dude, I have, bro, I keep saying bro to you. That's how you know I'm pissed. Look, in 2020, I have 600 megabyte per second internet and I still get a delay almost as long, if not sometimes longer than 1969, 2 people on the moon back and then talking to somebody on Earth.
Well, because guess what? You know, your 600 megabyte per second connection, you have it. And also, so do all your neighbors. Everybody's using it. It's all
mine's secure. They'll never guess the password. Those bastards. I told them to scream a naughty word if they wanted it. That's the password.
Did it work?
Nope. Nobody's yelled it yet, but.
Well, we'll see how well that works. You have to keep us updated. But, you know, when a lot of people are using connection and it's not like you're the only one. They had a whole building dedicated to their communication and a giant ass satellite and a whole bunch of shit for one communication line. When we're talking about bringing internet to millions of people, why wouldn't it have an extra second of delay? The fact that it's only a 3-second delay is pretty amazing already.
I have delays with people, let's say about 1,000 to 2,000 miles away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even with their big ass building, you have to remember they're using technology from 1969 and they can communicate with somebody 250,000 miles away from the Earth. And with a slight delay.
When you have a whole government sanctioned laboratory hell-bent on communicating with 2 people, of course it's going to be better. And who's to say maybe it's not just you, maybe you just got unlucky and just I think this is way too baseless. This is way too I think you're exaggerating details here.
I am not exaggerating any. These are facts.
Yeah.
And as a side note here, there were some communications that only had half a second delay. Half a second, dude.
Dude, it's just they had the tech to do that back then. And when it's dedicated by, like I said before, when you have an entire government sanctioned lab and their only job is to make it so, their entire paycheck and livelihood is making it so that we can talk to these two people super fucking far away with little to no problems, they're going to have it better than your shitty fucking internet you had set up a month ago.
I do not know about that. That is just the most ridiculous thing. I'm trying to picture scientists in the 1960s coming up with the ability and the technology to do that. That's just crazy to me. Crazy. I think it's fake because I don't even think that they should have been able to talk to each other in general, let alone a small delay like that.
That was if the whole point of the moon landing was to inspire America, they need to hear the people there.
Yes, and that's a perfect way to make it look like you did, and then you inspire America.
I'm getting so over this. I can't wait to get to Stanley Kubrick.
All right, look, next up, the Parkes Observatory in Australia, all right, was supposed to be the communications base for the mission, but only 5 hours before the first transmissions were to take place, they were told to, quote, stand down, unquote. That's fucking sketchy.
It's just space travel's fucking sketchy. It's hard, it's difficult, and it's highly detailed and precise. Shit can go wrong.
So Australia was ready. They were the ones billed to do it for a long time. They were ready for this, and then all of a sudden they said no. And on a side note for this Parkes Observatory in Australia, they were the ones with the clearest picture, allegedly, of the feed from the moon, but weren't the ones allowed to show it. And keep in mind that Australia was facing the opposite direction of the moon at the time. So how the fuck could they have possibly had the clearest connection to the video feed in the first place?
I think physics and airwaves, something to do with it. But also keep in mind, this is a big dick comparing thing. If America wanted Australia involved, it would make us look less cool. We wanted to look like we did it all by ourselves. So I'm not surprised. They're like, actually, you know what? Fuck you. We're going to do this all by ourselves.
5 hours before?
Yeah.
Wow, man. You don't have faith in your government.
Well, hey, if it's too late, it's like, and they tell you to step down last minute. You don't have time to ask questions. By the time it reaches the top brass, it's already been done.
All right, fine. Well, let's move on to the final part of this section of the episode and talk about some suspiciously missing pieces of important data from the alleged trip to the moon. Now, first up, we have blueprints, right? Blueprints, drawings, and designs for some of the machinery involved in this trip to the moon, including most of the blueprints for the lunar modules themselves are nowhere to be found. Come on, dude. Come on.
Well, yeah, you really think they want the Russians to do it next?
You don't think that they'd hold on to something like that if they actually created something that could go to the moon?
I think they held on to it and they're hiding it.
I don't think they're hiding. Nah, at this point, it would have been declassified, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think they purposefully hid it because they don't want other people. Dude, that kind of tech to be able to go to the moon, like, dude, it's so irresponsible to let that out at any time. Even more so that technology is like gotten better because now any layman can do it. And now we got randos shooting themselves into the moon and stuff like that. It's a catastrophe.
Look, we can disagree on this all you want, but I think it's really fucking sketchy that we're missing crucial blueprints and designs for things that brought us to the moon, apparently.
I just think it's smart. So that's my thoughts on that.
All right. Well, how about the Apollo 11 data tapes and the high quality video feed tapes are missing, right? We have copies, but we don't have the high quality video feed, the originals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we had seen these high quality tapes, we would surely see all the factors that went into making this big production on a soundstage.
Well, okay. I know that one looks bad.
It looks pretty bad.
I think you're looking into this too much. I think with everything that we've talked about before, if this is the thing that convinces you, I don't know. I think there's just something a little bit more reasonable here. And I don't think it's because it's a soundstage.
I've been convinced since the Nazis, right? Since Nazi NASA.
Sure. But HD or not, I don't think it makes a difference. I think this is just like, when has the government ever been upfront with us about anything and being sketchy about stuff?
You just proved my point.
I did nothing of the
You
such.
just proved it. So you're saying the government's never been upfront with us. They've always been sketchy. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying here. That's what this whole episode is telling you. We never been to the moon, and they're the ones that know it deep down.
No, I think they did it, and they're proud of it, but they see a bunch of cuckoo crazy folk going around being like, oh no, it's faked and this and that and that. And you think the Russians who are listening to us were like, oh, it might have been faked. And then it's like, it's just, it throws everyone off guard. They like the mystery. They like people questioning them and making them think that they can phase through walls and bullshit.
Nope, they've been lying to us. They are still lying to us about it. They should not be proud of anything because they accomplished nothing. And it's now proven that they've accomplished nothing. I've been laying out facts for you for like an hour now, and you refuse to look at them, and you still think that Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong are false prophets.
I think they did it. I think they made it to the moon. I think it's real. I think, the tech they used to get there was a bit scuffed, but also because it was a rush job. The tech, I think they had the tech and they barely had the tech to do it, but it took some really brilliant people to get us there. And there's some very famous people who, like, there's the photo of oh man, it's terrible, I don't remember her, I don't have her name, but she was one of the lead scientists who made the code to get all the engineering and all the equipment to work. And it's like her standing next to her code. There's movies about this shit, there's bios about this shit, and it's not just about the astronauts. Okay, if all the information we had was just about Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, that okay, but there's so many other stories of other brilliant people involved, and it just seems really just terrible to just totally discount and be like, Herder, no, it was Stanley Kubrick.
Do you know how ridiculous you sound right now?
No, I know how ridiculous you fucking sound with all this bullshit you've been spouting.
Do you remember what I said in the beginning of the episode talking about that $30 billion NASA got funded for them and how they paid people off? They're paying people off like that bitch who made the code, allegedly. She didn't make any code. They didn't know what code was in 69. They didn't have code back then. Are you fucking kidding me? They barely had computers.
I don't know if I'm just losing grip on sanity or I actually found that funny. I am. Oh my God. No, I think, we gotta give these people their due respect for what they did for our country.
I refuse to bow down to the fucking satanic government that we are under right now, claiming that we are spacefaring. We're like Star Trek, right? We're all Captain Kirk. Look at us going to space and shit. Bullshit. It's all bullshit. It's all made to unite us and distract us from things that are really going on in the government.
Seems like a little too high of a price tag for good TV, if you ask me.
Let's move on to the final section of this episode. Okay, now you've heard us, or I should say mostly me, mentioning sound stages and film production and implying that this was a movie, right? This was essentially a really good movie that everybody saw in America for some reason.
Okay.
And that's because it was. And who else but fucking Stanley Kubrick produced and directed this moon landing?
All right, explain.
Now, you see, the year prior to the moon landing, 2001, A Space Odyssey was released to the public. It was a hit. Everybody saw it. Guess who else saw it? The U.S. government and NASA. Now, it had pretty good practical effects, especially for the time. And it partly took place on the moon. So seeing this, naturally, government officials approached Kubrick and offered him a large sum of money to produce and direct a moon landing. Remember, that $30 billion, part of that went to him, part of that went to the production. He's one of the people that got paid off, and he was never allowed to speak about doing this, obviously, because he's been hounded with questions about this, and he has denied it. But if you were paid a really large sum of money and by a Nazi-run satanic government, wouldn't you deny it too? Just so you either A, don't get killed by the government, or B, lose that money that they gave you?
I don't think Kubrick cared much about money. I just think he cared more about making crazy, amazing films. That's what you do when you're on top of the world as a director.
And he's doing a damn fine job. He's doing a really good job with this moon landing movie. I'll tell you that much, because we're still arguing about it. How many years later? Almost 90 years later. 89 years later, we're still arguing about this fucking stuff. Am I doing my math right? 69, 70. Nope, I was wrong.
Right.
50. 70,
Oh,
60.
we
Hold on,
can
69, 70 plus 30 is 2000, and then that's another. So yeah, so like 50 years.
right. Good job.
Thank you.
I did hear there was they said, oh yeah, definitely Stanley Kubrick. He was definitely hired to direct the moon landing. But him being the perfectionist that he is, he made sure to film it on location.
That's a good one. That's fake. That's fake. Look, all in all, the initial launch from Earth and the ending splashdown of the crew into the ocean would have been 100% real, okay? But the actual walk on the moon would be created on a soundstage by Stanley Kubrick and his crew, and you all fucking fell for it. Every single one of you Americans out there that believe that we've been to the moon fell for it, because Stanley Kubrick is that good, and also they destroyed the original tapes like we talked about, so we have like grainy bullshit video that you can't even see like fishing line on the harnesses, and you can't see like all the stuff that would clearly make it a production. You all fell for it.
Okay, you know what I think about all you moon landing denying types?
What could you possibly say to hurt my feelings right now?
I think you guys are all a bunch of negative fucking Nancys. I think you guys, we finally got something cool, something great, something that America can stand on, because we do have a very tumultuous history of being full of shit, fucking people over, killing people, and then pretending like we're the good guys. We finally do something cool, and it's like, no, that's impossible. There's just no way. It's gotta be fake. It's Stanley Kubrick. It's gotta be filmmaking, Hollywood soundstage. You see that sea that I photoshopped in the? Oh, sorry. I mean, you see that sea in that rock? It's gotta be fake. I think you guys are just fucking grabbing at any goddamn straw to make your baseless, ridiculous, unfounded arguments sound any more better. I mean, you guys, you were literally saying we have a built-in radiation around our planet to keep us in, like we're in some kind of giant like terrarium.
Because we are. That's the only. And you're saying that my claims are baseless, and I have no proof, but neither do you.
What?
You don't look. It's okay. Look, it's like that episode of It's Always Sunny, right? Just because I say something that sounds ridiculous to you, and I believe that it's true, I can't prove it to you, but neither can you. Have you looked at the books and the numbers and the code, and have you stepped on the moon yourself and seen all these things yourself? Or are you going to take some dumb Nazi scientist word for it? You can't prove anything to me. You can't. I can't prove it to you, sure, but you can't prove it to me either.
If I lived my life where I need to go on the moon just to prove anything, my life would be nothing but a cesspool of paranoia and always looking behind my back.
Well, I'm doing all right. I'm all right. Yeah, sure. I don't shower anymore. And yeah, I only drink out of a Brita. But I'm not the most paranoid person on earth. I'm doing all right. Look, man, we can have differing opinions. I think that you just refuse to open your mind up a little bit to this type of stuff and stop being a government drone, you know?
I don't even think believing in the moon landing even makes you a government drone. I think it's far more I have a better time believing that they managed to pull off a moon landing than that they did this whole crazy, intricate cover-up garbage.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you which one's harder. We didn't have the technology. We don't have the technology. We can't get out past this. We can get out of our atmosphere, but we can't go to the outer edge of this radiation belt. Everybody knows this. So like, why is this a problem? Like, it doesn't make any sense as to why it's a problem. And yeah, you're being patriotic, right?
Right.
You're being, what are you gonna sign up for the war now? You're just gonna start listening to country music? What's your angle here? Like, you're just supporting the government blindly, believing everything that they say. That's when you get into trouble, man.
I think what we need is a second moon landing. I think we need to do this again to shut all the naysayers up. But even when that's going to happen, you're still going to find some excuse to say, oh, that shadow's weird. And this was made in the Hollywood.
They've been to the moon multiple times after that, allegedly.
Then why are we arguing this?
Because it's all fake. All of it's fake. As technology progresses, the faking gets better and it becomes more believable. Because look at the movies we can make now, right? Look at the movies we could make not that long ago. As it progresses, the fake moon landings get better and more believable. Do you think there's a reason they stopped going to the moon? Allegedly? Because first off, they never went, but also because it became arbitrary.
You just said, okay, so you're saying that they faked a moon landing and then 2 years later they're like, oh wait, actually we could do it. We just wasted 30 billion.
No, they've never been to the moon.
You just said earlier that they were. They've been to the moon multiple times.
I said allegedly.
Allegedly. What the fuck ever? Jesus Christ.
I said allegedly.
This is dumb. This is just dumb.
We've never stepped foot on the moon because I told you the moon isn't real. It's not there. There's something else there. That ain't a moon. All right.
And I'll be the first to tell you, we've been there. Worry about some other things. It doesn't even matter. Even whether it's true or not doesn't really affect our day to day at all. All it really mattered back then was, that we were beating the Russians. And guess what? That's kind of, it's all over with. This is just silly speculation. I think we did it, and I think we should respect those who gave their lives and their skills and their effort to get us there.
Yeah, they're sure. They didn't sacrifice anything to get there, first off. And second of all, it's my closing argument is going to be the fact that there is something that affects our day-to-day life in believing that we've been to the moon. And that is, like I've told you before, you're blindly accepting the government's pills that they're shoving down your throat. They're little pills of information. Oh, COVID's real. Oh, yeah, we've been to the moon. Yeah, don't worry. There's no aliens out there. Anybody who thinks there's aliens out there is a fucking idiot. So all these little pills you're taking every day, and you're becoming fatter and lazier and stupider, and you're just gonna be like slaughtered like cattle one day when the fucking reptilians come. Mm-hmm. Who's been working with the government the entire time, and you're prepped for it. You guys have been being fucking groomed this whole time to follow blindly.
So you're saying by believing the moon landing happened, by saying that COVID's real, that's just one more layer of mind control that's being layered onto us before, the happening, before the big one, the big invasion.
Fuck yeah. With these vaccines that they're coming out now with for COVID and stuff. You're telling me that you're going to take that when there are probably like microchips in there and shit? You're telling me, dude. That's ridiculous. Like, look, all of it's leading up to something, right? There's little things stacking on top of each other. And since I would say all the way back since England was like basically ruling the world, right? All these bloodlines have been branching off, going to America, working with the reptilians. And then since then, we've been, Roswell happened. That wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. And then vaccines, right? Polio, all these vaccines, right? Who says polio's bad? I don't know. FDR maybe, but fuck that guy. And then, now we're going to the moon landing, right? The moon landing happens, and look, oh, we're all united. Everything, listen to your government. Look how great they are. They went to the moon. And then, boom, we got like AIDS, right? AIDS pops up. Hey, why are you laughing, man? AIDS is no laughing matter, all right?
It is no laughing matter, but...
And that was a government's way of getting rid of the people who defied the government, right? And this is not me being racist or homophobic, but unfortunately, a majority of the people affected by AIDS during the initial pandemic were Black and gay, right? And who else did they want to target? Who was going against the grain in America at that point, right? Who wanted more rights? Who was like, shoving their finger up Uncle Sam's butt at the time. It was those two communities. So they wanted to wipe him out. That got out of hand because we thought, oh, well, it's just our government's saying that is only and then now we're at COVID, right? Oh, the government's telling us all wear masks all the time. What's next, dude? Now there's a vaccine coming out. They're gonna be like, oh, you gotta take this vaccine. You gotta do it because it's gonna save your life. Is it gonna save your life, Tasker? Or is it gonna end your life? Is this the final moment right now where they implant us with microchips and can watch and know everything we do, even more so than they already do with our technology? Is this the final moment?
I think the Boxcar Children was a better fictional story than what you're slinging my direction.
I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna not take offense to it because I know I'm right. I know some of our listeners agree with me. Maybe not on the COVID thing, but hey, you know what? If you fuck a bat, that's your thing. But if it's real, they've ruined everything for everybody. I'm just saying, though, this vaccine's a little sketchy. I'm not against all vaccines, but the second they start turning vaccines into being mandatory, like a COVID vaccine, that they rushed allegedly to get. I know this is way off topic. We're not talking about the moon anymore. The episode's pretty much wrapped up. I'm just getting out of my fucking system.
This is just you releasing all this pent up.
If they make this vaccine mandatory, I have like a tetanus shot, right? Because I don't want lockjaw. That's biology, right? If you step on a rusty nail, you can get lockjaw.
Right.
Some vaccines are all right, I guess. I haven't died yet. I don't have autism, kind of. But COVID, this one that they rushed less than a year to make a vaccine. Vaccines are supposed to go through trials, right? They're supposed to go through year-long trials, years and years.
Right.
But we don't have time for that because the government says we don't. I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to take it.
Well, our crippling economy and the fact that everything's falling apart aside, I guess there's a point of conjecture there. But we'll see if you're going to be the one laughing when we all start transforming into giant chocolatey abominations. For as far as we know, maybe I could be completely wrong and that this whole vaccine thing has been Chocula's plan from the whole start.
You could be wrong. And unfortunately, your track record on this episode, you're probably wrong.
Sure.
So Count Chocula, yes. There's no doubt in my mind that he perpetrated the getting the COVID vaccine rushed. Now, I am afraid of the government knowing what I'm doing via the microchips in this vaccine. I'm a little bit more afraid of knowing that Count Chocula also has like my location and my masturbation habits because of the vaccine. So that's very frightening for me.
Yeah, but it's all, it may seem a little weird, but the masturbation habits part is actually very instrumental in a very complicated and very well thought out plan. And we're starting to just scratch the surface on it a little bit, but it's starting to, we realize that there's a heavy connection because, it's like, we're talking about, reproduction, the creation of life, it's a deeper secret, a more like sinister secret than I think we all imagined.
I think so too. So guys, listen, I'm not one to tell you to not get vaccines. All right. But stay wary for this one. All right. I know that Count Chocula likes to target me specifically for some reason lately, but you never know. He might target you as well if you get this vaccine. So be very fucking careful. All right. And if you go to CVS to get this vaccine and some old bitch is going to give it to you, her hands are shaking, right? Her hands are shaking and she can barely make it into your arm. It's like trying to like baste a turkey, right? You don't want to deal with that. So just get out of there. It's not worth it. Have you guys ever even seen somebody with COVID? Don't let Count Chocula get to you. All right.
Good God Almighty. Well, my brain is leaking out of my left ear. So with what I have left, let me tell everybody that is listening, we are on iTunes. If you could rate and review 5 stars, that would be fantastic. Spotify, you could shoot us a follow there. New episodes every Wednesday, as per usual. CEOTPK is our Instagram. That is at CEOTPK. YouTube is Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. Twitter is at CEOTPK1. Facebook, Close Encounters of the Podcast Kind. You could email us at ceotpk1@gmail.com, discord.gg/lowercase b, number 6, capital C, capital T, number 5, capital M, capital X. I understand that's a lot to type out, so I would just go to the Facebook and just click our nice little pool of links there, and you could go to wherever you need to go. But thank you all for making it through this very long, very dragging feet through the mud episode into a very important topic.
It was an important topic. It was, for me, I wasn't dragging my feet. I was ready. Like I said at the start of the episode, I was rock hard. I've maintained the hardness for the entire episode. But look, everybody, thank you for listening. Even if you don't agree with me, or if you don't agree with Tasker, just know that we love you platonically. And Tasker, do you have anything to say to your ever loving fans?
Man, I think y'all are probably have been shaking your head as much as I have, or nodding it. I don't know, and I guess we'll see. Maybe someday.
Let us know. Let us know in one of our social medias if you think that we've been to the moon, because I'm curious now to see who's on my side and who's on Tasker's side. So let us know on Discord or something. But guys, until then, whether you think we have been on the moon, like a fucking government drone, or if your third eye's open and you know we haven't been, the truth is out there.
Yeah, damn right it is. It's right in front of us. It's because it happened. It's not. Fuck. Okay, no.
Yeah.
I was not even reading it. I don't know what the fuck I was doing there.